Bears podcast, a presentation of ESPN Chicago, Chicago's home for sports. Here's your host, Pat, the designer.
Bet on Bears fans, a late night edition of the Chicago Bears podcast as we got to break down what we saw from today in camp. I know that this is getting to you a little bit later than expected, but listen, still have to talk about what we saw. Plus, with the late night edition, I get to chime in with you guys in the comments as well. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and rocking with us. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave that 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. On today's episode, we got to talk about the stars shining at camp. Kyler Gordon absolutely putting on a display today. Keenan Allen showing a little life and a little bit of love at camp as well. Got to tap in and talk about what they were able to do today and also take a look at this defense still just showing out and continuing as a team to build momentum overall. All that and more today's episode of the Chicago Bears podcast. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave that 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. Let's jump it off here. Let's start it off with what we saw from Kyler Gordon today, because I think that is the big story out of today's practice. Kyler Gordon came out absolutely today and just balled out. I mean, he's come back in a blaze of glory. He's come back absolutely on fire. How he's been attacking defensively since his return, you can tell that he's been chomping at the bit to get back out there and really, get after it defensively. He's really been focused on trying to go out there and get himself back on the field. And you can tell that he's just been held back a little bit and he's letting it go full regalia. I mean, when you talk about what we saw in the game, I mean, we could start off with that as well, right? Like when you talk about how this game started with Kyler Gordon coming through, first off, Flus Weiling for calling a corner blitz in a preseason game versus the third string quarterback who has zero awareness and absolutely gets his head taken off. As I said over on the breeze, man, Kyler Gordon just killed him, man. Somebody call the police. But you see the aggressiveness, the energy that he has come back with, how he's returned to the field, the excitement that he has returning to the field. I think that those are things that really speak to what has been missing with this team, that energy, that level of fight, that level of fire. And it is exciting to see that back on the field, especially going through the preseason matchups right now, kind of at the end of this, as you continue to go through training camp, you hope that you're going to be able to see a lot more of that as this continues. Kyler Gordon coming away with 2 interceptions on Caleb Williams today, and that's kind of been the big story. And I mean, both of them, right? One in the red zone, coming across the middle, fighting for it, boom, right into the hands. Kyler playing the lane, coming away with it, getting after it, and going the other direction. And then one that was tipped, one ends up getting tipped in the air. Kyler Gordon, right place, right time, comes down with it, takes it the other direction. But it's just showing the cohesiveness that this defense has. It's showing the ability that this defense has to continue to go out there, play in and play out, and not be able to miss a beat, right? Like, I think that that's the impressive part about Kyler Gordon and how he's returned to practice. He hasn't missed a beat. There's been nothing about his game that seems like he's been out since, what is it, the second week of camp, I think it is? Right? Like since right before that preseason game, we haven't seen that first preseason game. We haven't seen Kyler Gordon out there dealing with, an injury issue that he had, training and different things like that. Like, to be able to come back, to be able to just fit right back in, I think that speaks to what the Chicago Bears defense has talked about when they talk about a comfortability of being in year 2 of this. You've got guys that can go out and come right back in and be able to just, hey, listen, what do we need to do? How are we going to get after it? Let's go after it. Let's finish this thing off. That's exciting to see. It's exciting to see that you can lose guys, right? Another guy who returned, in case you guys didn't see this news as well, another guy who returned to the lineup today as well is Jaquan Brisker, right? And again, another player who we saw be able to step in, not miss a beat, really be able to get after it, kind of work his way back in as well. Like, this is the thing about this defense, and this is something that I really gleaned from the game, and I talked about this on the post-game show as well. You have something that you can officially lean on with an offense that's still trying to build some things up. That's good. Right? I feel like as Bears fans, we're like, oh, of course the defense is good. It doesn't matter. Yeah, but it does. But we've always got a good defense. We expect that. But good defenses allow growing offenses the opportunity to make mistakes. And I think that's why what we saw in that preseason game was so impactful. Because to me, that's what it's probably going to look like at points during the regular season. That's what it's probably going to look like. A 3 and out, a 3 and out, a 3 and out. All right, dang, we're not getting it going offensively right now. We got some struggles right now. We got to figure this out. All right, we just got to make sure that we don't, give up too many points. How about we give up no points? How about we go out there and we defend this thing the right way? How about we go out there and get stops? How about we go out there and give you the ball back 3 times to give you 3 opportunities to figure this out? And then on the 4th opportunity, yes, I understand. It's versus the 2s, it's versus the 3s, right? It's not the same level of competition, but versus that same defensive unit continually. Here's the ball. Go figure it out. Go figure it out. 4th time around, they figure it out. End around to Rome Odunze opens up a lot. Now you start to see Caleb Williams with an ability to move the ball down the field. Now you start to see Caleb Williams with the ability to move the ball with comfort in that pocket, right? You know what I mean? Being able to be comfortable on one side versus the other. Like, those are the things to me that I think are massive for the Bears as they continue to go forward. As you get into the regular season, as you continue through the regular season, right? Having that unit that you can just lean on, that you can rely on, that's huge for this team. And I'm excited to see that. And watching it every day in practice, I said this yesterday. With this defense the way it is, not only are teams going to struggle, but you're going to spend so much time trying to figure out, okay, what the heck do we do to try and get points on this defense that is going to gas the opposite offense, which is going to put the ball back in your offense's hands more times than not. Giving Caleb Williams as many reps as possible, giving Caleb Williams as much opportunity as possible. That's what this is all about. And that's why it's exciting. That's why it's exciting to see these two back, seeing Kyler Gordon back on the field, seeing Jaquan Brisker be able to get back into the mix as well. I think those things are very exciting for where this Bears team is at. And then you look on the offensive side, right? And you're saying, well, if Jaquan Brisker or if Kyler Gordon got 2 picks off of Caleb Williams, doesn't that mean that Caleb Williams had a bad day? It was a little bit up and down. It was a struggling day for Caleb. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it was a perfect day for the young man. I think that Caleb has to go through his up and downs. I think that this was a day where Caleb Williams kind of, he just seemed a little bit off, even in the moments where he had a clean pocket and he had an opportunity to work things out. And you have those days. There was one period where he was kind of trying to step up and step around guys and trying to finish a play. Got a wide open Keenan Allen, just overthrew him a little bit. Got another opportunity to DJ more outside, just threw it just outside of his reach a little bit. Caleb had a tough day today. Again, that's going to happen. But on the flip side of having that tough day, on the flip side of having, some of those struggles, of having to deal with some of those things that, most of us would come back and go, oh, the quarterback had a bad day. Oh, my God. He still was able to find his footing, throw a couple of touchdowns, be able to complete a couple touchdowns over to Keenan Allen, something that a lot of people have kind of been worried about a little bit, which I don't know how we're worried about Keenan Allen, guys. He's one of the most professional wide receivers in the league. He's one of those guys that is going to be able to get the job done when the lights are brightest. Yes, I know that Keenan Allen in the preseason has not looked like an absolute stud. I know that Keenan Allen in the preseason has not looked like an absolute gem. I don't care. When I care if Keenan Allen looks like a stud or a gem, when we get to September 8th versus the Tennessee Titans, that's when I care most. And yes, you knew that him and Caleb were going to build a rapport. And today was kind of a day to show that. One red zone opportunity, one shot down the right side where, Keenan just was Keenan. Made a cut, to the inside, caught the ball, straight up, touchdown, easy money. To me, Keenan Allen is just he's not a piece that you have to worry about to me. And I think that this is what why Ryan Poles wanted to bring him in. You want to have that safety blanket. You want to have that guy that you know that you can count on a play in, play out basis. You want to have that guy that you know that you can count on third down. Now you have one of those guys. You have that guy in DJ Moore. But again, I love the way that Ryan Poles has built this thing out, because if DJ Moore is covered, we're going to take away your safety blanket. We're going to take away the option that makes you feel the most comfortable. I got this guy over here, and he's also really good at stopping or at catching the football, especially on third and longs. I've got this guy over here who's got some of the best footwork in the NFL. I understand that people were a little bit worried. I don't know why anybody was ever worried that Keenan Allen was going to be able to go out there and be Keenan Allen. But at no point in my mind was I sitting there going, yeah, I don't know if this guy's going to be able to do it. I know what kind of dog Keenan Allen is. You knew that him and Caleb were eventually going to get on the same page. It is good to see that relationship developing now. It's good that you can see a little bit more from that relationship now. But like I think that that's what this part of camp is for. You're in those kind of dog days at the end where you just got to get through the last 2 weeks. I asked Tremaine Edmonds about that, and he talked about how, you're I love his response to it. He was like, just because we're not playing in any more preseason games, if we're not playing in any more preseason games, he made sure not to Cole Kmet himself on that. I don't know if y'all saw that the other day when we were like, Cole, are you playing in the preseason game? Yeah, I think we playing a quarter. But don't quote me on that. You know what I mean? But Tremaine basically was like, listen, just because, if that is our last preseason game, that doesn't mean that we stop working. That doesn't mean that we stop growing. That doesn't mean that we stop building. And I think that this is the time when you're going to see probably the best practices out of these guys, because I think that this is the time that they care more about. Okay, we're now in the last 17 days till the season opener. I think it's 22 days till the home opener for the Chicago Bears right now. We're now in that last little stretch. This is when it needs to matter. This is when I need to be able to go out there and prove who I am and be ready to get ready for the season. This is the moment I need to have. It's not down the road. I'm not worried about it down the road. I'm worried about right now. It's not before. I'm not worried about a game versus the Bengals. I'm not worried about a game. And Keenan Allen, as a veteran, has afforded that. Because he's somebody that when the lights come on and the lights shine the brightest, he's always going to be able to go out there and be a dog. I don't know how anybody was ever questioning that, but when you see him, I mean, I haven't felt that way, but I've gotten to see him up close and personal. So I understand how people might look at, some of the preseason games where maybe he's not giving you that Keenan Allen level effort that you saw from him in LA. But for me, it was never Keenan Allen might not be, he might be over the hill, or he might be dogging it right now, or maybe he doesn't want to be here. It was never that. It was just, listen, Keenan Allen is not that worried about building this relationship with Caleb. He's not that worried about building this this rapport that everybody says that he needs, because he's going to be able to turn it on when the light shine the brightest. How do we know? Because I've seen Keenan Allen do this multiple times. And for lack of a better term, he's not the number one option. Is he the number two? Sure. And you're seeing some of those relationships build. But is anybody worried about the Keenan to DJ, or I'm sorry, the Caleb to DJ relationship? Have we seen this litany of passes that Caleb has thrown to DJ? Is anybody worried about the Caleb to Rome relationship? No, because you're seeing that grow. I'm not worried about the Caleb to Keenan relationship in the slightest. I think that he's going to be able to go out there and do exactly what he needs to do when the lights come on. And I think he just hasn't been worried about it. And guess what? Now is that time. Right now. It's not 2 weeks from now. It's not 3 weeks from now. It's not. This is the time where you're starting to ramp up and prepare yourself for the real season. And the thing that I think, you can't replace game reps, right? There's no replacement for game reps. There just isn't. But what you can do is still build a very strong rapport with a quarterback that is growing by going up against what looks to be that stellar level defense that we were talking about. By building up a rapport versus arguably, in my mind, one of the top DB groups in the NFL right now. I think that, and this is crazy to say because I do think that you need the game reps. I do think that you need to be able to go out there and play in the game. I think that those are important. I'm glad that he played them as long as he did versus the Bengals. And I'll talk about that game in a second here. We haven't really gotten to cover it here on the Chicago Bears podcast, but I'm glad that he got that opportunity to go out there and continue to play versus the Bengals because you need to see what other defenses are going to throw at you. I'm glad that he got to do that versus the Bills because you need to see what other teams are going to do towards you. I love seeing how Caleb was able to read the defense versus the Bills, similar to how his pocket awareness showed out versus the Bengals. But it has looked so much easier versus these other teams than it has looked when they go out there and they play their own defense. And so when I come away from today's training camp, my point in all of this, when I come away from today's training camp, my biggest takeaway was it was very much a back and forth practice. And Caleb had his struggles, and the defense had their struggles stopping Caleb. And it was this back and forth of like touchdown, interception, tipped pass, completion, right? Like there was this back and forth that kept happening. And I literally just left practice. It was funny. I was standing next to, who was that next to? Was it Grody? I think it was Mark Grody that I was talking with. And he literally was just like, who won today? And I was like, I think it's even. He was like, oh, so the Bears won. It's like, yes, dude. Somebody gets it. If the offense wins and the defense, or if the offense and the defense are at a stalemate, it probably means that they're kind of evening out. It probably means they're starting to get closer together. It means that the offense is figuring some things out while the defense is still at a really elite level. And so you're starting to see that offense catch up and be able to match the intensity that the defense is putting out. That's how I took away. That's what I took away from today's training camp. And to me, that is what is the most important thing leaving this, because how many times have we been on the other side of this? How many times has it been not that the Bears can go out there and muster anything offensively versus a tough defense? They can't figure out anything. They can't move the ball. They can't get the ball down the field. They can't do anything versus a tough defense. How often has that been the case? Now, is the defense getting stops? 100%. Defense still looks dominant. Running the ball on this defense, I'm sorry. Like, there's a lot of times when the running backs are out there and they're trying to run the football up the middle. I'm like, that wasn't smart. That would have been a tackle. Even today, there was a couple of times where Caleb was trying to be on the move, and it was like you ran yourself right into a sack there. But I think that's the growing and the growth that this offense has to go through. And as they do that every day we see them. Now, it's very up and down sometimes, but every time we see them, they're catching up just a little bit more. And today, I don't want to say that it feels like the offense caught all the way up, because 2 interceptions in a real game is bad. But I do think that it was a very much back and forth practice where you kind of left it, in my opinion, going, this is kind of a stalemate. And that's a good thing to hear. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave that 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love as always, man. We are Monday through Friday on this podcast, even if it ends up being late like this. Always fun to be live here with you guys as well. My takeaways, I want to talk about some of my biggest takeaways from the game. And of course, we talked about these on the post game show with me, Jeff Meller, and Jason McKee, and had a great time out there working with those guys. But like, I had a couple of takeaways that, to me, are the epitome of what is going to define this season. And that's a good thing to have in your second preseason game, right? When I look at Caleb Williams, the number one thing that, at least in my opinion, you can talk about him having down pat right now is pocket awareness. The number one thing that you can talk about this guy being able to go out there and do on a game in, game out basis is pocket awareness. And yes, he went through the 3 and outs early on, was getting the football, a lot of passing, but getting the football out there, and was just trying to, I think they were just trying to, try and get as many passes out as they can. They're trying to get him in a rhythm. And as you got into that fourth drive, you started to see things click for Caleb as the pressure was coming towards him, because I do think that the offensive line took a little bit of a step back in that game. I think that some of the pressure getting in his face did affect him throwing the football as well. You kind of started to see him go, okay, I can get into some of my off-platform stuff. I can get into some of the stuff where, yeah, this pressure's coming at me a little quicker than I expected. I need to be able to get the ball out. And so you start seeing him manipulate the pocket. I thought the one play, right, where of course he throws it to Rome. That's the highlight that everybody's talking about. But for me, the thing that I love about it is he steps back in the pocket, sees the pressure coming his way, he steps up in the pocket, and then he kind of does like a rollout. I don't know what that was, a rollout left to get to the outside, sidearm that thing, and be able to get it down there to Rome. That is exciting for me, because the one thing that I can honestly say that I've never seen in Chicago, honestly, is a quarterback with pocket presence. The one thing that I can honestly say I've never seen in Chicago is a quarterback who has the ability to not only have a presence in the pocket, feel the pressure that's coming to it, but then be able to manipulate that pressure by moving around in the pocket, and if need be, vacate the pocket and still be able to deliver the football downfield. Now, Justin Fields could escape the pocket, right? Justin Fields could make off-platform throws, right? But it's that ability and awareness to avoid the pressure that I think is something new that we have not seen here in Chicago. It's that ability to have the awareness, understand, okay, Braxton's man kind of just got around him. He's trying to push him past me in the pocket. He does that. Allow me to help Braxton. Let me step up in this pocket so the man doesn't get to me. Okay, I know now there's a man behind me. I need to make sure I know where he's at. Let me try and move things around here. Let me try and adjust myself while still maintaining my base. That's the part about Caleb Williams that I think we have never seen. I've seen guys who can make all the throws. I've seen guys who can make the flashy throws. I haven't seen guys who have had not only the IQ, and it seems like he does have the IQ, but also the ability to be able to go out there and not only manipulate that pocket, but then if I have to vacate it, I'm still downfield. I can make this throw. Here we go. Or if you get the little wave from Tevin Jenkins, I don't know if y'all peeped that. You get that little wave from Tevin Jenkins. Hey, follow me. Follow me. I'm telling you, dog, that was the funniest part about that play to me. When Tevin Jenkins gave Caleb Williams the follow me, and Caleb Williams still keeping the eyes downfield, by the way. Shout out to Caleb for that. Still keeping the eyes downfield. But when he gave him the follow me, and Caleb's like, I guess I'm following you, and runs into the end zone, I was like, that's what I love. That's what I love. Bravo. Congratulations. And we saw that and we've seen that in the 2 preseason games. And I know some people are being critical. Well, Pat, we haven't seen him stay in the pocket. We haven't seen him operate just in the pocket. Well, guys, there has to be a pocket to operate in. When he operated in the pocket? When the pocket was there. Remember that deep pass to Tyler Scott when there was that massive pocket that he was able to stand in? Didn't run around. He didn't get out of the pocket. He didn't vacate too quick. Boom. That ball's in the air. Go get it. You know what I mean? I think that for Caleb, the most important thing right now is that continuing to manipulate the pocket while reading what the defense is giving you. And that, to me, is dangerous if you can continue to grow that versus the ones, versus the best of the best. It looks good in the game, in the second game, right? But it is versus the Bengals 2s. It is versus the Bengals 3s. Can you do that versus the Titans 1s? And I think that's the part that that's the part that excites me the most as a Bears fan. It's not the off-platform stuff, because I keep getting everybody's, oh my God, right? Tyreek Hill sent everybody into a tizzy. He's like Pat Mahomes. He reminds me of ... He's thinking he reminds him of Pat Mahomes. And not to say that he doesn't. I think that he can make Pat Mahomes like plays. But Pat Mahomes like plays to me are not off-platform throws. Can Pat Mahomes do those? Yes, 100%. But I've seen a good chunk of quarterbacks in the modern NFL be able to throw off-platform throws. Pat Mahomes to me is not just arm strength. Is that a part of it? Yes. But I've seen a lot of quarterbacks that have arm strength in the NFL. The thing to me that is the most Mahomes-like, and maybe it's more Rodgers-like than anything, is the manipulation of the pocket, the ability to get outside of the pocket if you need to, the ability to operate while in the pocket and feeling the pressure coming from both sides, and then being able to make a decision by reading what the defense is giving you. That, to me, is the part that is a little bit more Mahomes, Rodgers-like, right? Although that little rollout, I ain't gonna lie, that little rollout past the Rome, that brought back bad flashbacks. I'm not gonna lie to you. I just kept getting memories. I was like, oh God, it's like Julius Peppers when he freaking, was 2 inches away from sacking Rodgers. Somehow Rodgers gets out of it. He can't bring him down. Now all of a sudden, there's Devontae Adams 30. I don't know why I said Devontae. He wasn't there with Pep, but there's a receiver 30 yards down the field, wide open, bringing the football in, and now he's in a position for a touchdown. How the heck did that just happen? It did feel like that on that play. I will say that. Shout out to y'all in the comments, man. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. I want to get to some of y'all comments as well. Chicago's Finest said, do you think Braxton Jones' spot could be in jeopardy now that the rookie is healthy? I do not. And we did talk about this over on the Breeze. I want to bring that here as well. I don't know if we got it on that breaking news as that one dropped. But Karan Amageji not only was activated, but he was practicing today. That is somebody else who returned to practice. But I do not believe that Braxton Jones' spot is in jeopardy for a couple of reasons here. Number one, I think that Braxton Jones right now is just better, right? He's been in the NFL. He understands what the offense is. He's been through the training camp program this year. He's just in a better spot. Karan is going to have a long way to go before he gets to a solidified spot. Karan's going to have a long way to go before he gets to a spot where he feels comfortable playing at an NFL level, and probably where Flus feels comfortable playing him at an NFL level. I also think that Braxton is going to benefit from some of the things that Caleb Williams can do, i.e., what we saw on the touchdown run from Caleb, right? Yes, Braxton's man, gets past him a little bit. It kind of gets past him early. Braxton pushes him past. Caleb Williams stepping up in the pocket allows Braxton Jones to which was hilarious. Like, I love it. Hit somebody. You better hit somebody. Allows Braxton Jones to kind of just throw his body at another guy, at another defender, and kind of knock him out of the play. I think the Caleb Williams ability will also help some of what Braxton Jones has done, and some of the struggles we've seen from him. Because that pocket presence allows you to look a little bit better. Oh, well, Braxton pushed him past. Well, actually, he got blown past and probably could have got a sack, but he manipulated that pocket well. And at the end of the day, Karan's just not ready. I'm glad to see him back out at practice. I love that. But Karan's just not ready. He's just not. He's a young player from Yale. You hope to see kind of that Braxton Jones jump from him. But if we're being honest, it's a big difference in competition at Yale than going to the NFL. Now, Ryan Poles believes that this guy has, I would assume, the mechanics to be a good left tackle, i.e. or left guard, or maybe right guard. I don't expect to see him at right guard, but my dream scenario would be you try to make a move to put Karan in at either left guard or left tackle, Braxton in at left guard or left tackle, although I think Braxton probably stays slotted at left tackle. You put Karan at left guard. You move Tevin back to right guard, and you let greatness happen on the right side of that line. Y'all know how much I loved Tevin Jenkins and Darnell Wright on the same side of the line. I loved it. It was the best thing about last season on the offensive line, and there wasn't much to praise. But I thought that was an absolutely stellar lineup that the Bears could throw out there. I think that may be a dream scenario. Yurko talks about this all the time, right? Where you take basically you draft. He says I would always draft tackles and move them inside the guard. If you can't play tackle, you've probably got the footwork and the hands to play guard. So could I see them doing something like that? Possibly more on that level, but even that's not until that's a next year thing. They drafted this young man knowing that it was going to take some time for him to come back. They were very cautious with him, which I kind of didn't understand. Because I don't know if y'all remember this, but like at the beginning, Karan talked to us in the media and was like, I'm fine. Yeah, I could go right now. But I think they're just being cautious. And then all of a sudden it was like, he's on NFI. What the heck? How did we get there? Why'd you go with that bar? So I think that there was a little the Bears really want to be as cautious as possible with them as they can. And I understand that. I'm not mad at that. I understand that. Soda Picano says, what do you think the running back rotation will look like? I think this is an easy one. DeAndre Swift, because he's on the team right now, and it seems like I don't know that this is a weird one. Khalil Herbert, I'm going to still throw in there as the 2 right now, but it's weird because we haven't seen any of Swift. We've only seen Herbert, but we've seen all the other starters, but it's weird. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something there, but I would say Swift, Herbert, Roschon is your 3 rotation. And guys, listen, it's done. It's done. All the listen, I love Ian Wheeler, and I talked about this on the Breeze today. There's going to be a lot of players that are on this team that we think should make this team, that because we have talent are probably not going to make this team. I think Ian Wheeler probably ends up being one of those guys, and I think Ian Wheeler is a phenomenal running back. I think he's going to have a job somewhere else in this league. I think that a guy like Theo Benedict, who is really showing some stuff, a guy like Colin Johnson, who's really showing some stuff, I think it's going to be tough for them to make this team. I think that there's a lot of names on this list that are going to be tough for them to make this team. So I think those are still your 3 running backs. And then when you get to the the Ian Wheelers. I'm gonna be real with you, boys. The Velis Joneses. The Velis Joneses. I'm sorry. Like, what has he shown you? People are out here trying to hold on to Velis Jones for 2 plays. Outside zone run and an end around. I'm sorry. What has he shown you? He doesn't make this team as a running back. And I'll say this as well. If Velis Jones makes this team as a running back, I will I, I I will be flabbergasted by Ryan Poles' decision making, and I would have to seriously wonder if he has a blind spot for guys that he drafted. I mean, honestly, I would have to wonder if there's just a blind spot for guys that he's brought in. He's the 6th best running back on the team. He's the what? 7th or 8th best receiver on the team at this point. And we don't even see him go out there and be a kick returner as much anymore. He gets his opportunities out there, but he's not somebody who's feared on kick return. In my mind, the experiment's over. It's done. And that's okay. I don't wish the kid ill will. I wanted him to make the team. I think that Velis can be a weapon. But if that weapon is a bow and arrow, and I'm going up against a bunch of, dogs on the other side, and I need something bigger than a bow and arrow, I'm sorry. I don't have it. I don't have space on the team for you. I just don't. There's too many good players on this team. There's too many good players who he is playing ahead of that are on this team. Velis is getting snaps ahead of Ian Wheeler. Ian Wheeler is leaps and bounds a better running back than Velis Jones. If Velis were to make this team, I would literally have to sit there and I'd have to wonder if Ryan Poles had a real blind spot for the guys that he drafted, and that would be a concern for me. And I haven't had many concerns on Ryan Poles. As you can see, I'm very excited by the team we have. It's always been in Poles we trust, right? It don't mean I can't have some questions, but I've always said, whatever decision Ryan Poles is gonna make, I'm a ride with it. Let's go. And I'm glad to see the decisions that he's made have worked out. So for me, I think that right now, if I were to look at the running back room, if I were to look at if I were to look at kind of that final, what is it? That final guys that you're going to put on the roster, right? You also have to take into account the amount of positions that you're also going to need other guys at. Right? If you're looking at this offensive line right now, how comfortable are you starting the season saying Nate Davis is going to be there? How comfortable are you? If you're looking at this offensive line right now, how many offensive linemen are you probably going to have to take on to the season? That eats up bodies on the other side. That eats up the guys that can make the team who kind of are just like we'll put him on the team because we want to see what he can do. We know he's got speed. We know he's got size. Right now, I feel like the Bears probably have to take a couple extra offensive linemen. I mean, you're talking about a guy like Daniel Hardy possibly not making this team because of a guy like Austin Booker. Daniel Hardy has dominated in preseason. I don't have room for Velis Jones. I just don't. And I keep saying this. Somebody tell me what he does well. Shout out David Tibbs. He says Velis will, he spelled his name wrong. Velis will make the team because he does several things well enough. Look with your eyes instead of your personal feelings. Jones is a kick return, a kick. I don't know where you're going with this. A kick B punt returner, gunner, 6 wide receiver, 4th running back. That clears up 2 players. Well, he's not the 6th best wide receiver on this team. He's not even better than Dante Pettis, who just caught 2 touchdowns, or who also can return punts, who's a better punt returner, because Velis is not a punt returner. We've seen that. Who's a better punt returner than Velis Jones is. Maybe Velis, I'll give him better kick returner than Dante Pettis. Sure. 4th running back spot, no shot. No shot. Ian Wheeler's leaps and bounds better than he is. And this isn't personal feelings. I continue to ask this. What has Velis done well? By the way, guys, he wasn't a good gunner. Did we watch him in the game? Did we tune in for that? Did we see him as a gunner in the game? We did, right? How'd that go? How'd that go? It's not personal feelings. I have no beef with Velis. I like Velis. Velis was the first. I wanted to see Velis work out as a wide receiver. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to see Velis Jones work out. He's 6 feet tall, 230 pounds. Like, he's massive. You want to see that kind of player on your team. But at a certain point, you got to ask, what has he done? We're talking about what? 2 kick returns last season? He averaged 2 yards more than a touchback. But he was the 3rd best kick returner in the NFL. It's because everybody did touchbacks. But he was the 3rd best. 27.6 yards. I'll take it at the 25 and have the right running back on the team. I'll do that. Or now the 30, right? I'll take it at the 30. I know we thought this was going to be the thing to unlock him. I know we thought this new kickoff rule was going to be the thing to unlock him, but I don't know how. I don't see it, me personally. And I think, like Ryan Poles said, this team is too good for you to just take a dude on. David said they like him. That's really all that matters. Just don't feel bad at cut down if he makes it. Oh, I'm not going to feel bad. I'm just going to question that Ryan Poles has a blind spot. That's what I said. And listen, I guess, right? Like if you can have a blind spot for your guy, if the rest of your team's fine, then we don't care. But I would say that for guys he drafted for his first offensive pick, right? That was his first offensive pick. That was his first receiver. Pick Velis Jones in the 3rd round of his first season. He's got a blind spot for his guys. That can come back to bite you at times. With Velis, it probably won't. With Velis, it's just like you got a body taking up a spot that I'd rather have somebody else at. But I don't know, man. We'll see. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. I don't know why we went down the Velis Jones rabbit hole there. It happens. It happens. When you're talking sports, that's kind of how it goes. And I appreciate talking back and forth with you guys. I think we're going to do a lot more of these lives. We tested something out tonight where we found out that we can do something a little bit different here. So we're kind of excited by that. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. We will be back tomorrow with Courtney Cronin right after practice. So make sure to tap in with us over there as well. As always, man, it's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bear down. One love.